Last year, one of my good friends who runs the YouTube channel Oki's Weird Stories started posting some interesting tweets. Then back in November, I sent out a tweet talking about how I really needed a vacation. Unexpectedly, my friend Oki reached out and invited me on a once-in-a-lifetime trip, something he had been planning for months. The result of that trip ended up being a collaboration between he and I on a 30-minute documentary that appeared on his channel called How I Infiltrated a Bizarre Conspiracy Cult, about how Oki was able to get into the inner circle of a group of people convinced that they are genetically enhanced super soldiers.
I am a super soldier. I've been involved in the secret space program for at least 330 years.
Elite fighting machines with superpowers, tasked with fighting Fourth Reich Germans and aliens on Mars. It really is one of the wildest videos that has come out so far this year, and I'm really not the only one saying that.
God, that was amazing. This is criminally underrated for the work that went into this. Dude flew out from Canada to Las Vegas to a secret space program meeting in order to have an interview with the #1 figure in secret space program super soldier lore. Like that is what it's all about, baby.
So if you haven't watched it yet, you're gonna want to do that. To truly appreciate what you're about to see in this video and the stories about our trip, you really kind of need the full context, which is delivered beautifully by Oki. Links in the description. And so, while I came mostly to just be a cameraman and have some fun watching my good friend live out his dreams of being Yasuke, the Black Samurai warrior reincarnated.
Do you know who you might have been in a past life?
Maybe you're like the Black Samurai Yasuke?
You were a samurai?
Yeah.
And I was a gladiator.
I discovered my own earth-shattering previous life as well. So basically, I am evidently Space Jesus. I am the messiah of the blue Arcturian alien race species. And they are patiently awaiting my return after I've gained enough experience here on Earth to return to my home planet and lead my people to salvation. So it has been a really interesting 24 hours, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say so. The video's doing better than I thought it would, actually.
Dude, it took off. Congrats, dude. I know how hard you worked on that, man.
Yeah, you helped me with it a whole bunch.
Just walk me through again, like, how you first got introduced to that topic.
Oh, yeah, so it started, like, this almost like a day or two after I started my Discord server. There was like 15 people or so that ended up joining a voice chat. And actually, a lot of those guys ended up being like really regular core members of like my Discord. So one of them, the guy Vapes for Christ, I mentioned in my video, he was the one who first told me about this. And the first guy he told me about was this guy, Captain Randy Kramer, who said that he was a genetically enhanced super soldier who fought insectoids on Mars and stuff. So I looked that guy up and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's like fucking, he's stone-faced while talking about this insane sci-fi pulp fantasy. And it was just funny how people in the comments actually seemed to believe him.
We didn't get into half of the stuff that I personally thought was just the most insane stuff. Dude, you and I sat and listened as this lady channeled Albert Wesker from Resident Evil.
Greetings, Dr. William Birkin. Are you there?
Yes, thank you.
What was the goal, well, I guess your goal with working with the G-virus? What was your main aim?
The main aim was to create a virus that would mutate the human vessel into a more superior version of that vessel, utilizing biological, virological material to create a bioorganic weapon.
Yeah. By the way, not Resident Evil, the video game, Resident Evil, the movies.
Right.
I don't think that's they have it all over their lore, but they, for some reason, I don't know.
They just like the movies, not the video games. And also, if you remember the age range of the people that were there, they didn't really seem too interested in the video games, although they did have the Mirror's Edge stuff.
Yeah, that all comes from a guy named Peter the Insider. He's like responsible for pretty much what he does is he just plays video games.
Yeah.
And then he adds all this shit he takes from video games into the lore. And then he says that soft disclosure.
As we all know, movies, video games, all of that is disclosure.
So they're disclosing the truth, disclosure, right? Insider knowledge through media. So the soft part is because it's through media. So they're not explicitly disclosing this secreted information from the secret space program. What they're doing is they're embedding it into media.
Yeah. In fact, like you and I were, when we had our readings, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I was talking to a girl that was claiming to be a Na'vi from Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar.
There was only like 30 people there, basically.
Which is a far cry from what James told us was actually in attendance. He said he sold like something like 250 tickets.
Yeah.
You can see in the footage, there's never more than a dozen people in any one of the rooms.
Yeah, and most of the people there, even in the rooms, they're also speakers at the event. It's just like this. I think there is like element of a grift there, even though James, I have no doubt that he actually believes this stuff. So there are grifters in this movie, like Corey Goode is one who, so this guy.
And just so we're clear, these are statements of opinion, not fact.
Yeah, of course.
Corey Goode has been one of my favorite guests on the show. He's part of the Sphere Bing Alliance from the Secret Space Program. Corey, we were talking about when you were on the lunar space, is that what it's called? Something, LOT? Help me out. I don't know the lingo.
Oh, the Lunar Operation Command?
Yes. Is that where you were residing before you went on the ship?
No, this was a dark fleet type of base. It's more of kind of like the kind of fascist group.
Wow.
But it was a separate base that was on a different part of the moon, and it had a prison, and they had stasis chambers. Some of these ET beings, they have clones all over the place, and if you kill them, they just have like a backup. Their consciousness pops up in a clone somewhere. So if they capture one of these beings, they will put them in a stasis chamber, and it's kind of like putting a genie in a bottle that they can't escape. They're kind of stuck in stasis. So they have prisons where they have a bunch of these different beings, you know.
But yeah, Corey Goode is one of these guys who says this stuff, and he's a massive grifter. Unlike, I don't think James Rankin is. Actually, Corey Goode now, what his whole thing is, he calls himself like. He says that he is like the humanity's only conduit between complete destruction and being able to ascend to I think it's like the 8th dimension or some bullshit like that, because he's the one who can communicate with the blue avians, which are these magical alien big blue birds. He's got like a huge, massive cult status around him, and his partner David Wilcock also has a religious organization set up, and these two are just like grifting like crazy together and making loads of money off of these people who think that they're going to ascend. So actually, Corey Goode started with this whole secret space program, super soldier stuff, and then he's evolved into now he's like fucking space Jesus.
What happened immediately after the video released?
I knew I was going to get to him.
Yeah.
So I emailed him preemptively. Just said, hey, I'm sorry, I tricked you. I sent him an email. He seems bad, but I don't think that he's actually going to try and take it down. But I emailed him right when I posted it.
How did he feel about it?
Oh, no, he's angry. Yeah, he's pissed.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's real pissed. He had my interview that we did in Vegas on his YouTube channel. Obviously, he immediately took it down. Does that mean that you lied to me about everything that you said? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a dick. Sorry. And then he's okay. So he took it down. And then I think it was this morning when I woke up, I saw he's like, I'm going to sue you. I do think that he's going to try and strike my video down eventually. Eventually he's going to do it because obviously he's not happy about it. In a way, what I did is a bit mean-spirited. I can own that. It's fine. But essentially it's similar to something that like Sacha Baron Cohen has done his whole career.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it is a bit mean-spirited, but it's for the sake of like a comedic video. I'm sure he's experienced this kind of attention. Like, it's not the most positive attention, but still, I think he knows how to handle it. I mean, his whole thing is very silly, so he's used to dealing with people being like, this is ridiculous and stuff. Yeah. And he's been doing it for 13 years on YouTube. So yeah, he's used to it.
I remember when we got there, I sat down and I was wearing a bandana as a mask because we're in the middle of a pandemic. And do you remember there was this point I sat down and I forgot I had it on, and people were starting to give me weird looks, and you were like, Jim, you got to take that mask off. They're gonna find us out or something like that. You remember that?
Yeah, we had to blend in.
I take my mask off. One thing about this conference, reason we're not wearing masks right now, we've been wearing masks pretty much everywhere else we go. But and because there's so much anti-vaccine and anti-mask sentiment here, we stick out like a sore thumb if we are wearing our masks. We're here for an event where there's a lot of people that are kind of in the other camp, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I hear you.
So we've been wearing these, and then when we go into the event, we take them off because we don't want to stand out, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, we had to blend in, and so a lot of these people were very on board with a lot of the COVID-19 conspiracies and stuff like that, and the masks and vaccines in general and stuff like that.
What can you tell us about
the uses of technology that rewrites the DNA code? The mutations are yet to be seen. This is more a technological mutation. These are human cyborg. They're humanoids turning into cyborgs.
And so I stood out like a sore thumb. And I remember by the end of the weekend, on the last day, I just put it back on. And I remember, I think it was during the spoon bending thing. We were talking to that girl that was right in front of us. And I was like, actually, I wear my mask, but it's not for the reasons that you would expect. She's, why do you wear a mask then? I was like, I don't want the surveillance state tracking me. And she's, oh yeah, that's actually really good. It felt like I almost convinced somebody to start wearing a mask.
Some of these projects, they have time compression zones where you're outside of time and the time is going by a little bit slower than the rest of reality.
How does he find time for his day job and also regular missions? Because when you asked him when the video was going to come out on his channel, what did he tell you?
He said, sorry, I've been sick and I'm also on missions. I've been on missions. This is really funny.
Yeah, and so I don't know how he has time for his day job and also fighting the space Germans, but obviously he's making it work. And if the time compression is a thing, and he spent 50 to 100 years away in between the time that we met him and when he emailed you, I'm surprised he even remembered you at all. You must have made a really big impression if he remembers you for 100 years.
There you go.
You're just a memorable guy, Oki.
Yeah, I suppose so.
One of the most stark things to me when I was with you in Vegas and we were shooting this, you remember I would routinely just get up and walk away. I would just go walk the streets. I would, like, every couple hours, I would just get up and go away for a little bit. I just had to leave.
To buy booze?
Yeah, I did. I went and got booze because, dude, I was hammered, man. I was hammered both days we were doing this, man. Because that was how I got through a lot of it, especially toward the end of each day.
Yeah, man. Tonight's going to be great.
I'm so drunk.
So much manpower and
material. We're going to break this bed. This bed is like cheap as fuck.
We ended up having...
Bro, this is Vegas. You think they build beds like as if people aren't going to break them?
Yeah, good point.
Did he Photoshop himself with muscles?
Yeah.
Did he give himself muscles in Photoshop, Oki?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially the first day. I remember we were in I forget which workshop it was, and then you left, and then like I see you in the fucking lobby like 30 minutes later, and you're like, you finished like you polished off a bottle or something like that, and you're like, you were fucked up.
Lenny, where are you hiding now? Lenny! Bastard!
Lenny! Okie! Oh, you're not Okie. Hey.
Lenny!
And then we're taking an Uber back to the motel, and you're just screaming.
Remember what I said?
I don't know. You were just going off, dude.
Oh, I was telling our Uber driver about how we were in the middle of infiltrating the secret space program. I remember our Uber driver just laughing his head off, just like listening to these crazy things we were telling him about. And I probably was barely animated.
That's drunk goggles, dude. He was like super quiet. He was like, and then after the ride, I tipped him like fucking $5. It's like shit, dude.
I'm sorry you had to put up with my drunk friend.
It is Vegas, so
I do get a little extra when I've been on the sauce for sure.
It was funny though.
Well,
it was funny.
The reason I brought that up, I'm so glad you brought that up. That was so funny. I totally forgot about that Uber drive home. But I do remember screaming at our Uber driver, dude, these guys, they fought the space Germans on Mars and they had slaves, but they were also slaves. And I don't understand it, but this shit is really crazy, man.
That's pretty much what we're saying. Yeah. The first talk that we went to, the guy who I have in my video, the one who started to cry, like fake cry.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about him.
Yeah, so that first talk was like, it felt like it was only an hour, but it felt like 3, and it was him telling this incomprehensible story about like, I don't even remember.
Well, Strong, let me bring it up. I've got the notes.
Yeah, you got the notes. So why don't you just read them out? Right?
I've got 2 pages of notes here, and then I just gave up. So let me go through some of this here. This was the very first guy. And from the get-go, I couldn't understand what the story was about. So I have markers here. So 10 minutes in, guy that went to space was kidnapped by aliens, met a being that told him to, quote, put your clothes in this bucket. And this was when he was 14 years old. I'm assuming he means like his original body. That's what made this so confusing, is because every other minute he's in some other body as some other person in some other reality. So it's mixing up realities and genders and ages and all walks of life that he was being these people, and I just couldn't understand it. Then he was kidnapped and he was brought to the base on the dwarf planet Ceres, and when he got there, there was some kind of base, and he saw a bunch of bodies in stasis that he claims were most likely clones, and he was sent there because he was on a mission to see what technology they had. He saw Germans dressed in black uniforms in charge of the slaves. One threatened to kill a slave if they didn't follow orders. He had 2 kids, like he produced 2 children while on this mission, and I don't remember if he's in another body at this point or if he's still his 14-year-old self. And he wasn't allowed to have contact with the children that he produced with. I don't know who he produced them with. Oh, I remember now. He as a slave was also assigned a slave. And one of the parts where he started crying was he was feeling so much guilt and shame over the fact that he had to have a slave.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then he was then transported back to Earth, and his memories were extracted by the Greys, the Grey aliens. Somewhere along the way as well afterwards, I guess, he was tortured by Germans. He was electrocuted. At some point, a blue alien comes into the picture. He had to work, or else they would torture these kids that, quote, weren't quite feral, but disassociated. I don't know what that means. At 14 minutes, 45 seconds, I write, I have zero idea what's happening in this story anymore. Is this on Earth? Is this on Ceres? Is this a spaceship? Wait a minute. He's not even in his own body now? 16 minutes in. He didn't understand what his mission was. Who sent him on this mission? What is the mission? 18 minutes. Okay, now there's a naked dude wearing a cloak and a goat's head that wanted him to drink the kid's blood and eat their flesh. 22 minutes in. Now he's trapped in a cage. He got raped a bunch. Is he currently in the child or is in his adult body? 26 minutes in. He got shot and died. They put his soul in a jar, and he's still talking to a gray alien. So is he talking from the jar, or is he just alive somehow in another body and he sees a soul that's not his, but it's his? That's why doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there was some point where he's talking about being in the body of a girl or something.
Yeah, that's this next part here. He's told by the gray alien that he failed his mission and he needs to go do something, and he's out of bodies, and so they basically toss him the keys to the Chevy. They're like, here's somebody else's body. It's a 14-year-old girl or something. It's a little girl. He says, don't break this body or something along those lines. Don't cause any damage to this body, but we need you to do something in this little girl's body. So he inhabits the body of a girl to do this next phase. Okay, now he's getting thrown out of a helicopter when he's discovered to not be the little girl that he's inhabiting. And I ask, how did he get discovered? And everyone dies in the helicopter crash. And then now he's strapped to a chair, told to follow some guy. I don't know if they let him up from the chair or whatever, but he's strapped to a chair. He's told that he failed, and then he gets tortured again. And so at this point, I'm asking, like, so he was in the body of this little girl, he broke the body, and now he's strapped to a chair being tortured. Which body is he in now? Because he was out of bodies previously in this story.
You know what it was, what it felt like? You remember when you were in like school and everybody has to read at one point, right? And so the kid who can't read, has to stand up.
He just recites words.
And you can barely understand what he's saying because he's not reading properly out loud.
He spoke for at least an hour, but at 32 minutes in, that's the last note that I wrote, because at that point, I just gave up. I was like, I can't. Like, I just physically can't even comprehend what he's saying anymore. It not only doesn't make sense from a factual perspective, there was no narrative structure to what he was saying. It just was one thing after another. It was almost like free association.
A lot of the people on James's channel don't have any storytelling abilities whatsoever. So most of the people are really boring to listen to.
Which makes sense why people said your testimony was the best testimony they had heard ever. There was this moment, we were in between sessions and we met up with a few people at the table. That's where we met the Na'vi alien. And we also met this lady who was doing, I guess she's a super soldier too, because I saw her sitting on the panel with all the old super soldiers and stuff. So she's also a psychic too, which is convenient. And so I paid her, I think $20. Might have been a little bit more, but I bought a crystal so that I could know yes and no answers.
Where's my yes?
And I sat down and she told me what my alien heritage is. And I remember there's this point where she's asking me what I see, and I'm just making up stuff and trying to act as enthralled and as wrapped up in it as I can. And here's the thing, I grew up in a religious environment, and so I know the tempo and beats that you're talking at when you're talking about a really spiritual experience. And so I really channeled the old church-going Jim into this, but talking about aliens. Like, I grabbed the crystal, I was like, do you ever feel warm when you hold your crystal? And this lady, she was like, oh my gosh, yes, so much. Have I been on a craft that travels faster than light? Was Okie, my friend over here, Okie, yeah, was my friend over here, Okie, with me on that trip? Oh my gosh. And I was like, I'm having a real experience. Hold on, I need a second to catch my breath because this is like almost anxiety inducing. Like, I've never experienced anything like this before. No, I'm just trying to calm down a little bit. I'm kind of in the middle of like an experience here. So like it's, and she was crying. She was crying. She was so emotionally overcome by what I was apparently going through. Do you remember her saying that?
She came to us and she embraced both of us.
Oh yeah, she could not stop hugging us.
She was really taken.
And that's the part that I do feel bad, because this is something that really genuinely seems to have a lot of deep personal meaning for her. That she is tapped into the secret space program full of genetically enhanced, time-traveling, reality-jumping super soldiers. And she would get tears in her eyes talking about my genetic heritage to the Arcturian alien race. And at one point, I'm sitting there while she's going over this thing that looks like a Ouija board that's got the names of all these different alien races. And she stops. She's, do you feel something? Like, do you identify with anything? I'm like, I almost feel like in the back of my mind, I see this endless sea of blue aliens, like the ones that you showed me in the picture. And she opened it up. She's like, okay, the Arcturians. I was like, yeah, that's them. The ones that I really felt a strong connection to. They're calling me Ancient One. they're chanting something. It's hard to hear, but I get the feeling that they know who I am and that they're awaiting my arrival. So basically, I am evidently Space Jesus. I am the messiah of the blue Arcturian alien race species. And they are patiently awaiting my return after I've gained enough experience here on Earth to return to my home planet and lead my people to salvation. It was pretty overwhelming. She was telling me that she was in the middle of having her own memory reclamations while listening to me reclaim my memories because it was having that much of an effect on her spiritually about all this.
Most of them seem very normal, very nice.
Oh, hold on. There's the guy that yelled at us. He seems to be in charge.
Yeah, he was in charge, but because he didn't want us filming. But he only realized that, literally on the last day that we're there.
That's right.
Before we were about to leave.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you can't film." And then even we continued to film, but he didn't.
He was a giant asshole, by the way. He yelled at me the day before, and he's on all the advertisements for this thing. And he seems like this really nice guy, but when you talk to him, he's just an asshole, with no reason. Because remember, you and I, we were so excited about the How to Become a Jedi
Warrior.
Yeah, How to Become a Jedi Warrior workshop.
Unfortunately, when we showed up to the How to Become a Jedi Warrior workshop, no one was there, not even the speaker, so it was canceled.
We just got in here, we have no idea where anybody is. You're right, I think the guy just gave up.
I was so excited about it because I'm a Star Wars geek. And so we were excited to do that, and there was nobody there. And so we went into the main conference hall, and he was there. He's fiddling around with the water cooler. And I was like, hey, what's going on? We were really hoping to go to this Jedi workshop, and is that going to happen still? There's nobody in there. And he just starts getting really irritated with me, why are you talking to me? I'm not in charge of that event, blah, blah, blah. If they're not going to be there, they're not going to be there, blah, blah, blah. He just started unprompted. I was not expecting it at all. This wasn't me going full Karen, let me talk to your manager or give me my money back or anything like that. It was just I remember this.
Yeah, I didn't get actually to hear it, but I did see you and you looked shocked. Yeah. And then later you came out to me, he just yelled at me because I asked why is there no one at any of the workshops. And then the second one where they're trying to talk to this time traveler MetBet guy from an undisclosed location on Skype. I don't remember the company, but so they were trying to talk to this guy and they can't get any of it to work. And then the guy so the guy who's running the event, I almost added this part to my video. He's he turns to the audience. We're literally just waiting for this thing to start.
The guy that was yelling at me earlier. Yeah.
You guys stop talking on the background. Hello.
Yeah, he just did all of the conference attendees. Shut up! We can't hear anything. We're trying to get this to work.
We cannot hear you. Yes.
And it was and people just started laughing.
There's a video where you film our reaction where we both just look at each other and we're just smiling, what is going on here? That's the reaction. Yeah, that's the reaction during that part because we were why is he yelling at everyone? What is happening?
They're having some technical difficulties right now.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Man, that was such a wild week, man. There was this guy who was giving this whole speech about how he at one point tried to inhabit a bird, and then the further it flew away, he lost the Wi-Fi signal to the bird, and so he became a rat, and he was able to stay as a rat or something like that for a little while. And
that was during the Super Soldier panel.
Yeah, I was just he said that, and nobody was laughing. And dude, when you were asking me to get closer shots of the Super Soldier panel and all that, and so I walked up and I got closer shots of the Super Soldier panel, and the stuff that they're talking about, I can hear the dozen or so people in the audience, and they're gasping for air, so shocked, this is real. Wow, that's amazing. None of the kind of scoffing or chuckling that I desperately wanted to do a couple of times. It's all just wonder and amazement. I just got to say, man, genuinely, thank you for letting me be a part of that. It was a genuine honor to get invited to that because, dude, I really needed a vacation.
And then when you jumped on a Discord call, I told you all about it and you're and then you booked a ticket like while we were on that call. So
I got us a hotel actually close to the event.
yeah. I would have been stuck in the middle of nowhere because I fucking.
You booked a hotel 2.5 hours away from the event, Okie.
Okay, but to be fair, it had the exact same name as the hotel that I thought I was going to.
The only way I was able to have as much fun as I did is because you were there, man. Because like I've never been able to put up with that.
It was so much better. Yeah, like it went so smoothly. It all worked out, which was tremendous.
And it's such a fun story to tell too. This has been one of my favorite memories, honestly, of 2021 was going out to Vegas to hang out with you and make this with you.
Yeah, same, dude.
Are we done watching this fucking TV show? No, not yet. I've had it.
I was genetically modified before I was born with Draco DNA. With that modification came certain psychic abilities that are not normal for humans.
So, Okie, you fucked up, man.
Ow.
Paul Serene's 10,000 years old, man.
Wait, so what's the event called again? It's Quantum Spoon Bending. Bring your own spoon. I brought my own spoon. So, what happened? I thought you were going to bring a plastic spoon. No, see, I actually want to experience, see if like she actually has telekinetic abilities. As crazy as it sounds, this is just par for the course for this entire trip, man.
If I get angry, I blow up electronics. If I get nervous, I will selectively blow up things. No, I don't do performances on command.
I was a Marine in this life, and that correlates with my life as a super soldier. And when I was taken at 6 years old, I remember being taken down to deep underground military base. I remember being on an operating table and doctors standing over me. I remember, them doing experiments, putting in black goo, implanting me with implants. And then I would, periodically through my life, I would wake up in the morning, I would have a bloody nose in the morning from when they did the MyLab. But I was made to be stronger, genetically enhanced, to be stronger, faster, smarter, psychic ability enhanced, and in the deep underground, just to start it off, like the training, not even going into the missions, like in the deep underground military bases, we would practice telekinesis we'd have a group of children, and we'd just like have a bowl there and just be pushing it back and forth with each other. And I remember that. So telekinesis is obviously one ability out of the many psychic abilities that are amplified. But later on in my life, I started to remember memories where I would be having mission recalls, and I would be throwing people up against walls with my ability, and then plus I'd also be getting thrown telekinetically by Nordics. The Nordics would be I'd be fighting telekinetically with them, and sometime I wouldn't be powerful enough, and they'd be able to take me and throw me. I was enhanced, and also abilities have to do with stopping time, and I've had memories come back where I've had to literally stop time to be able to make movements to save somebody.
Okay, is there anything, any other messages you would like to share with us?
That the current virus technology is not, it is reversible and it is controllable, that this will not be the this will not be the end of our civilization by zombie virus.
Does the audience have any questions for Dr. William Birkin?